What's the strangest thing someone has asked you to do in bed? He'd ask me to say his name but then want me to spell it. Actually, it wasn't what they asked but what they did. He stuck his tongue so far up my nose I almost felt him lick my brain. It was so weird and off-putting. It started with kissing her armpits, which I was fine with. Then she wanted me to suck on them and I said sure, but it had to be after a shower. Well, then she wanted me to put my dick under one and give me an armpit job. In all fairness, it felt amazing. Jesus, I feel lucky with some of these comments. All I came to say was a girl I was with hated having her face touched. At all. No face touching at any time. Made kissing super hard and had to be super careful all the time. This is the funniest thread I've ever read. Thank you all for making me feel so fucking vanilla. I dated a girl who had a rape fantasy. She used to tell me how she wanted me to say I was going out with my friends one night, then sneak into her apartment, force myself on top of her, and rape her. She even showed me how easy it would be to pry a window open while she was sleeping and do it. It's not my thing at all, but I started to think it might be fun to roleplay something extreme and started considering it. Then I started considering all the ways it could go wrong. What if someone saw me breaking in, called the police, they kicked down the door to me raping my girlfriend, but suddenly she got cold feet and told the officers it was real? What if the person seeing me break in decides to take matters into their own hands and shoots me? What if I choose the night her brother happens to be staying over on the couch and he stabs me with a knife? Etc. I stopped considering it after that, but she pushed it so much that I ended the relationship because clearly we just weren't compatible. She wanted me to choke her, like until the point that she passed out. I said I'm sorry, but no, I'm not really comfortable with that. We kept fucking, and in the final moments, she proceeded to deep throat me until she literally passed out. I was absolutely flabbergasted. The sinister smile on that woman's face when she regained consciousness a second or two later, goddamn. People are fucking strange. We had been drinking and she pulled out a knife and asked me to cut her thigh while I ate her out. I politely said no and she cried. Then threw up in my brand new toilet. Should have ended it THRRE. Tried to convert me to Scientology after giving me one of the worst handjobs of my life. Dress up in full outfit of women's clothes. Garters and all. It was a woman asking. He asked me to blindfold myself and put my toes in his mouth. Which wasn't too wild until he shoved all my toes and half my foot in his mouth at once. Being blindfolded, it felt like a horse was eating my foot. I dated a girl once who wanted me to call her for phone sex while pretending to be her brother. This was way before the step fantasy thing too, I'm talking landlines. Thankfully she didn't actually have a brother, so it wasn't as weird as it would have been. An ex-boyfriend always asked me to use my curly hair to get off. It was weird, but when we were in the shower he would get off with my hair. She wanted to have sex at the same location she had been assaulted in the past. I found that by trying to understand and not judge, she wanted to tape over the assault and replace it with a memory of being in control. Sometimes there are enough rocks. He wanted me to dry fire, unloaded gun, into his head while he climaxed. Many years ago, and no one has topped that. Had one chick who wanted me to unravel a roll of aluminium foil in front of her while she masturbated. When she was almost there, she gave me the signal to slap her tits, which I did. That pushed her over the edge to orgasm. Nice girl though. Draw on her with erasable marker. Not like lewd words or anything. Just straight up draw on her. I had one girl that wanted me to bend her over a gravestone and bang her, then come onto the grave/gravestone. I don't believe in the supernatural, but I've seen enough horror movies to know this is how they start, lol. No, I didn't do that. We did bang on abandoned houses and buildings, odd fetish, but I was young. I had another girl that liked rough sex, like pushed against the wall, spanking, choking, etc. The final straw was when she wanted me to rape her. She wanted me to punch her, cut her clothes off and go at it. That was a hard no, mainly because even with her saying she agreed on video I would still be putting myself in a bad place. Plus I'm not into that stuff, like I apparently didn't choke her hard enough or spank hard enough. She would tell me more and it would kill my boner doing that. I've done quite some weird shit with my ex-girlfriend. But the one request I didn't honor was what she called scrambled sperm. She wanted me to finish in a bowl several times until it's a decent amount of sperm, then she wanted to try and cook it like scrambled eggs and eat it. Dated a guy with a queef fetish. He was really into queefing. First few times it happened on accident. I was confused as to why he immediately came after. Then when we were doing oral, he started blowing into me like I was a balloon. I stopped him because you can't be blowing into pussy, it can cause an embolism. We argued over this a lot. He kept trying to do it like sneakily. It was strange. I decided that as long as what he was doing was super slow, it was probably less dangerous and let him continue. I tried to talk to him about it, like hey, so it seems you like this. He continually denied it. Then he figured out how to angle things so the queefing would happen constantly, essentially figuring out how to use his dick to get the maximum amount of air inside me, and I started playing along, timing things correctly so I would do it when he wanted. We dated for 5 years, this happened at least once a week and he always denied enjoying it. I'm such an open-minded person. I want to get my partner off. But the constant denial when I had liquid proof that he loved it was very weird. Other things he was into were also off the wall but aligned with my own interests, like speculums for instance. She wanted me to drink her milk. She was in her 50s, but continued lactating since the birth of her last kid 20 years ago. She also had incest fantasies where she wanted me to role play as her kid. The milk was disgusting, BTW. I was in high school and newly dating a girl. She surprised me when, early on, she asked me to rim her. She really liked the sensitivity of it and it got her off super quick. I had never done that and I'm a child of the 90s, so internet porn wasn't yet readily available. I needed some direction but I went for it. It ended up being something we did regularly and I felt like an absolute king for her since it made sex so easy. She curled up to me, wanted to rewatch season 8 of Game of Thrones. Sorry, I'm not into that painful shit. Oh, I have a sorta more low-key one. My girlfriend was telling a story about how a friend of hers boyfriend starting liking her eyebrow, and when she told him to stop he said, "Do you not want to be loved?" We found it so funny that we started quoting it to each other pretty often before doing something weird. And one time in bed my GF asked me to do it cause after hearing the story it was so strange she couldn't stop thinking about it and just wanted to know what it felt like. It was, as expected, very weird feeling. Which I can confirm cause she immediately did it back to me. And now the running joke is every once in a while in bed together one of us will try to lick the other's eyebrow saying, "Do you not want to be loved?" when the other fights back. I'm not particularly vanilla, but I had a guy once ask if he could put a strap-on on his forehead and I could ride it. I turned him down, LOL. It was right on that line of slightly weird, but not weird enough to be kinky or hot. Just odd. So many things. I've gotten put your armpit in my face, foot stuff, is it okay if I cry, don't make any noises, sit and bounce on my face, I have to keep my socks on, I don't use any lube, just go in dry please, and the worst was a group sex situation where my foot felt weird and I looked down and it was fully inside of someone's butt. I've never done another orgy because I did not like that. Wanted to see me snort coke off his hard dick. I don't do cocaine, so there's problem number 1. Briefly dated a dude who would constantly talk about how much he liked cream pies. He genuinely thought a girl couldn't get pregnant if he sucked his own nut out of her vagina. Thank God I never had sex with him. That was about 10 years ago, and last time I checked, he has 6 kids with 6 different women. At the time, I was caught off guard when a man asked me to choke him and slap him hard across the face. Looking back, it was laughably common. But I need to thank him for showing me a whole new path. XGF and I had a very tumultuous relationship, and she was into pain. She wanted us to cut each other with razors while we fucked. We did, and it was pretty hot at the time. However, I have several very deep scars, and one is very visible if I have my shirt off. If people ask about it, I usually just say my XGF stabbed me, which is technically the truth but not the whole truth. I don't recommend. She asked me if I had lube for anal. I said no. Well, do you have any cooking oil? I am not that hard up for anal, and we are not looking the ER doc in the eye and explaining that your ass is torn up because you couldn't wait. Just not happening. I had an ex who knew I was involved with the kink community at the time and wanted to try some stuff to see if he liked it. So we made a bowl of suggestions, and we both added things that we'd like to try with each other. Mine were pretty basic, like being blindfolded during sex, hair pulling, handcuffs, that kinda thing. I had expected that his were similar, or at least on the same page. Oh my God, was I in for a surprise. The first time we tried it, he pulled being blindfolded and I pulled one of his, which said, "Baby talk." I was confused because he had never expressed any kind of interest in anything like that. So I said, "Okay, who's doing to baby talking, you or me?" He said that he wrote baby talk, but what he meant was he wanted me to use my dog voice during sex. Yeah, the silly voice we all use to baby talk to our pets. I was kinda taken aback, so I asked him, "That turns you on?" And he laughed and said no, not at all. He finds it funny and just wants me to talk to him in that voice. Needless to say, no sex happened that day and the bowl was retired immediately afterward. I did go through his other suggestions and most of them were nothing to do with sex. This girl that had a baby a few months prior wanted me to drink her breast milk. Nazi cosplay, she dresses as Hitler and dominates me as I pretend to be Jewish. I said no. She asked me to free use while she's sleeping, and if she wakes up to just go with it, then she'd do things like pretend she's possessed by a ghost and needs a ghost baby because of elaborate spirit politics and the like, and to get in the mood / connect spiritually, the spirit would have to relieve some trauma from her life, so we'd RP me being a creepy priest who takes her during confession or something, a doctor treating her for the scarlet fever that eventually took her, etc. The whole time she'd do weird voices, have her eyes rolled back, do the stereotypical seance body spasm things. She wanted to be bound up, wrap ropes around her tits so they pop out and around her chest and like 50 feet of rope, then tie her down on bed, blindfolded with nipple clamps, and use her box of toys on her. When her tits started to turn dark red, took the ropes off, tied her back down and used that box of toys on her some more. At one point told me to choke her. Damn, the woman was a freak. Never used the safe word once. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but out of the half-dozen times we got together, she taught me the finer techniques of bondage. Never seen a woman orgasm so much you lose count, like in the 20s and beyond. Ass ta ass. Burn her with a cigarette. Well, I think my former partners would have some stories to tell. I have asked only very trusted partners to do some weird shit. The weirdest was probably having the love of my life cut me during sex. He did it. It was pretty awesome, but I recognized immediately it wasn't healthy, so never did that again. I was very young and cringe just typing it out. Still have a scar. I met a black girl on Tinder who wanted me to call her the N-word repeatedly during sex. I did it, but it was literally the first time I had said the N-word out loud and I didn't like it and kind of took me out of the moment.